Bledsoe was arrested.
Patrick Montgomery was in court.
Jonathan Manapa will stay in federal custody.
No, I don't take responsibility at all.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show. So 53-year-old Texas resident and Marine veteran Stephen Cappuccio, I think is how you say his last name, he walked to the Capitol after Donald Trump's speech. He was seen and heard on the Lower West Terrace yelling, quote, "Storming the Capitol, boys," and "Fight for Trump." He headed over to the Lower West Terrace tunnel where he stood outside. He was recording for a while as others were attacking the police and while they stole their riot shields. Eventually, he entered the tunnel himself. He maneuvered toward the front of the mob and he started to push on the people in front of him who were in turn pushing against the police. A little bit later, Cappuccio pushed through the crowd. He made it into the front of the police line, front of the mob, and he grabbed a police riot shield and he used it to push against the police. Then Cappuccio assaulted Officer Daniel Hodges. Hodges, you guys might recall, he was pinned between a police riot shield and the frame of the doors that had been shattered by Trump's terrorists. So he couldn't move his arms. He was completely being crushed. He was completely helpless at this point. And Cappuccio took advantage of this vulnerable position. It was his hands that you might recall seeing on video, grabbing Officer Hodges' mask and forcefully yanking on it. He was trying to push it over the officer's head several times. He ended up doing so. He was successful. And he exposed the officer to the chemicals that were in the air that had been sprayed by both sides. So Officer Hodges' head and neck, you could see in the video, were thrashing back and forth as Cappuccio was ripping his mask off and his helmet. And as Cappuccio did this, he was yelling at Officer Hodges, quote, "How do you like me now, motherfucker? How do you like me now, fucker? How do you like me now?" Then Cappuccio grabbed Officer Hodges' baton and he struck him in the head with it. So the officer is screaming in pain. He's begging for help. He had blood dripping down his face. A short time later, Cappuccio exited the tunnel and he handed the baton to another member of the mob. So presumably they could use it against the police. And as he walked out into the crowd, he was very proud of himself. He pumped his fist in the air. So Cappuccio was arrested on August 10th of 2021, and in a fifth superseding indictment, he was charged with 2 counts of assaulting officers, one of which included a deadly or dangerous weapon enhancement, robbery, obstructing an official proceeding, civil disorder, 2 counts of disorderly conduct, one of which also included that deadly or dangerous weapon enhancement, and 2 counts of physical violence, one of which, again, included a deadly or dangerous weapon enhancement. Cappuccio refused a plea deal, and he opted for a bench trial. And in July of 2023, the judge found Cappuccio guilty on all counts, with the exception of 2. He did not find Cappuccio guilty of obstructing an official proceeding or disorderly conduct in a Capitol building. Those charges were basically irrelevant, though, because Cappuccio was still facing up to 20 years in prison, 3 years of probation, and $250,000 in fines. The government, however, requested 121 months in prison, so just over 10 years, 3 years of probation, and $2,000 in restitution. Way too low for how violent this man was. And Cappuccio has a violent history. According to his sentencing memo, Cappuccio has 2 previous arrests. One was in 2001. In that arrest, he was taken into custody for assault because he pushed a man to the ground and started choking him. Unbelievably, Cappuccio took a plea deal in that charge. He received a sentence of only 4 months of probation. In regard to his January 6th case, Cappuccio blamed his military service and PTSD for his actions. His victim, Officer Hodges, provided a victim impact statement at his sentencing hearing. Hodges is also a veteran, and he told the court, quote, I'm curious, at what point did his mental health condition allegedly take all agency away from his rational mind? Did it seize him before he drove 1,600 miles from his home in Texas to the Capitol? Or only partway when he stopped to buy goggles for his peaceful First Amendment assembly? Was he in control when he trespassed onto the Capitol grounds after Trump instructed him to march there? When he moved through the mob, pushing his way to the vanguard of the assault, and fought to break our defenses? When did he regain his senses? Was it before or after he tried to kill me? U.S. District Judge Trevor McFadden presided over Cappuccio's case, and unfortunately, I couldn't locate any details about what he may have said or what Cappuccio said at the sentencing hearing. But when all was said and done, Cappuccio was sentenced to 85 months in prison, 2 years of probation, and $2,000 in restitution. Cappuccio has been in custody since his arrest, so he'll be given credit for time served, unfortunately. Clearly, this sentence should have been much longer given the vicious and violent nature of the assault on Officer Hodges. This should have been among the longest sentences handed down. In my opinion, it should have been, but it wasn't. Again, Trevor McFadden, Donald Trump appointee, better than I anticipated for this judge, but still not good enough. Not anywhere good enough. Not when you have other people who did a fraction of this and got much longer, or people who were convicted of sedition who didn't even harm any officers and they got double the amount of time. I mean, when you look at it through that perspective, it just makes no sense. Absolutely no sense. We're saying that thought is more of a crime than actual action, than physical assaults on police officers. Anyway, I will let you all know if I hear any more. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Please like, please share, and subscribe. Please donate if you can. Love you all. Take care. Talk with you soon.